mean, there's not much point in getting in this boot because it's massive and you can see that I'm going to fit in it. Not as bad as I thought. But here I am a car. Let's floor this thing. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Lucy on Cars, and today I'm very happy to be back behind the wheel of a Land Rover. So this behind me here is a Land Rover Discovery 3, also known as the L319, and it's a very interesting car because you guys know that I'm very much into my Range Rovers, but this is like a slightly more utilitarian version of that. I would say that the Land Rover Discovery is very much somewhere in between the Defender and the Range Rover. It's like a nice middle point, and I've never driven one before until today. So on the next random car on the channel to review from my friends and family let me borrow it edition, this is my grandparents' Land Rover, and they absolutely love it. They've had Land Rovers before and they are very much not ever wanting to get a different car as far as I'm concerned, and I can see why. They've put a lot of time and effort and care into this car, so I'm slightly honoured to be driving it today. Growing up, they had the first edition, like the original Discovery, and then a few years ago they picked up this, which is a 2007 2.7 litre TDV6. So this is the first of the new Discovery. So the Discovery models before this were definitely a bit more rugged and a bit more utilitarian looking. This is the first of the sort of newer style of Land Rover Discovery. These ran from I think 2004 to 2010, and then in 2010 out came the Discovery 4, which looks fairly similar to this, but it's technically the new model. So that's why you can pick these up at such a great price. You're looking at sort of £3,000 to £6,000 in the used market at the moment, depending on obvious factors like mileage and spec and stuff. Obviously you can get them a lot cheaper. I'm talking like 1,000 to 2,000, but they might have a few problems, some higher mileage. This is a very well looked after Land Rover. I know they spent an awful lot of money on making it run. Let's not lie, it's had a lot of problems. Every time we meet up, back when we had our Range Rover at the end of last year, every time I went for a coffee or breakfast with them, we'd sit and say, what's happened with yours this week? And we both have stories to tell about the problems on our cars. So it's definitely a slightly problematic child, but they do absolutely love it. And it's that whole thing again of people that enjoy Land Rovers, Range Rovers, they kind of suck up the fact that things go wrong with it and they get over it because they enjoy driving the car so much. So without further ado, welcome to today's review. If you are new around here, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoy it. We've got a bit of snow on the ground. I know our last review on the channel, it was tipping it down with rain, and I was hoping it'd be tipping it down again today because it seems that we only film reviews in the rain at the moment. Unfortunately, we've been blessed with some blue skies today and some sunshine, so I hope you don't mind that in this review. But I have to say, it's so good to be back in a Land Rover. I'm very excited for this video today. We're gonna hop straight in the car now, go for a quick drive, give you my first impressions of the Land Rover Discovery. Good news as well, this is a manual. You know I like my manuals, so it's definitely a car that I'm looking forward to experiencing today. I had a lot of people saying that I made them feel old the other day when I said, oh, it's an old-fashioned key start. I'm sorry if I made you feel old. I didn't mean to, but I might do it again today. We've got another old-fashioned key start here. Yeah, it's a 6-speed manual gearbox, and then we've got the electric handbrake. So we have got 188 brake horsepower, a top speed of 112 miles an hour, and a 0 to 60 of a whopping 11 seconds. So this is quite a heavy car with not a huge amount of brake horsepower. So let's see what we think, let's see what we feel as we're driving it. George is quivering behind the camera right now because he forgot to put his coat on and it's snowing. So I think we should put him out of his misery, hop in the car and we'll go for a drive. So let's do some minor off-roading. It's not really off-roading, well it's off of a road, so technically it is, but it's nothing crazy, but a little bit of fun. Let's go around this car park. So honestly, it's so smooth. So we're going into quite a big ditch right now. We're bouncing around a lot, obviously, but the way that the suspension just soaks every last bump up, I am in zero discomfort right now. I'm relaxing. It's more like a massage chair right now. I'm not feeling a thing. I could be having my breakfast right now. It's just amazing. We're literally going over these huge, big ditches. I don't know why it's so ditchy here in this car park anyway, but we're going over these huge holes in the ground. And honestly, I think I could have a cup of coffee in my hand right now and not be worried about spilling it because the car's just soaking up every last bump. I hope I'm explaining that right. Of course we're going up and down because it's bumpy, but to zero annoyance for the passenger. How is it in the back, George?
Nice. Just smooth.
It's lovely. I can't believe it. It's better than the Range Rover for that, for sure. The Range Rover was good over bumps, but it wasn't anywhere near as smooth as that. I can't believe that. And how old is this car? It's coming on for a bit. It's coming on for 13, 14 years old. It's got to be those huge, thick tyre walls mixed with the air suspension. And we're just left with this lovely floating box that does everything you need it to. I want one. I really want one. So I'm just using my air suspension now to get out of this car park. Going into the slightly lower mode because it's a little bump at the end of it. So, oh, very nice, Defender. Hello. Oh, I didn't actually mean to wave. That was so embarrassing. She saw me and was like, what? Our cars are nothing like each other's. Oh dear, right, let's go. Let's take this for a little cruise around the countryside today on this bitter afternoon. This bitter January afternoon. Happy New Year, guys. I can't believe how smooth this car is. It's a big old beast, it's a big heavy car. And that 2.7 litre V6 is just pulling it through these roads beautifully. It's a perfect cruising car that you don't have to think about driving. I've never driven a car with a gearbox that's just so easy. I'm not even thinking about it. The shifts themselves are incredibly short. You see I drop into third here, I'm really not having to move at all. Like the distance from 3 to 4 is very minimal. I've missed being in a car that you can bump up onto the curb and bump down off of the curb without worrying about your alloys. It's so nice being in a car that you can just throw around a little bit and worry less about. Okay, we're coming onto a main road here with a 70-mile-an-hour limit. So we're gonna test out the full potential of this V6. I don't know what to expect because I've not floored it in this yet at all, and as much as I've enjoyed driving it around on the slower roads, I can't imagine it having that much power when you pull away because it's such a heavy car. I know 2.7 litres isn't a small engine by any means, and it being a V6, but with the turbo, I mean, maybe that's going to pull it through. I don't know what to expect here, so we're going to experience it together and see if this traffic light ever turns from red to green. I'm kind of rambling on here, trying to kill time. Obviously this isn't a car you race around, here we go, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing if it is a car that you can race around. Maybe you're not meant to, but maybe there is an open market here. Maybe there's a gap in the market. Right, let's go. Let's floor this thing. Okay, not much going on in the lower gears. We are going up a hill here. There we go, that's not bad. Up a hill, very heavy car. Like I'm at, what are we doing, 50, 60. Right, there we are, that's pulling quite nicely. Okay, not as bad as I thought. I've heard some reviews of this car that actually claim it to be very slow. Oh god, the brake, Jesus, I only just made that. The brakes are definitely not as sharp as I'm used to. So I would say that I was pleasantly surprised, considering I'd read some reviews saying it's slow. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, and I think it's as much as you really need for a car like this. No, you can't race around in it. No, it's not going to put a smile on your face when you put your foot down because it's nothing crazy. It doesn't push you back in your seat, but what it does do is get you up to the speed that you need to be in a fairly decent time, as well as all the other things that this car can do really well. So actually, I don't think the power is something to put you off. If it is essential for you to have that power, they did do a 4.4 petrol V8, which obviously gives you more power, but then it's going to cost you more in fuel and things. So I guess it depends. There's an ambulance here. Are they coming down here? Just thinking about that power delivery, it really got you up to the speed that you needed to be up to. Oh, there's a nice flood here. Let's go into this. Everyone else is avoiding it. I'm going right through it. Lovely. Yeah, just think about that. It was very linear. There was no kind of sudden kick in with the turbo. It was very smooth and rounded, but nothing really crazy. George has asked me if my foot was actually to the floor, and yes it was. So yeah, it really doesn't throw you back in your seat, but like I said, it got us up to the speed we needed to be at a time that was fairly acceptable. And just driving through these country roads now, the sun is setting, the leaves are falling off the trees, we're in the middle of winter. It's a really lovely car to be in. I'm wearing my country gilet. Life doesn't get much better than this, does it, George?
No, it doesn't, dear.
Richard Hammond actually said this is the best 4x4 ever made as well. So we've gone from the one that Jeremy Clarkson raves on about to the one that Richard Hammond raves on about. And I mean, a comparison video could be interesting in the future. I'm not going to compare them too much more today because I have spoken about both quite a lot, and I know this is meant to be a review of this car and not of our previous Range Rover that we seem to not be able to get over, which, if you're new to the channel, was the L322. Honestly, I'm really comfortable in this car. Just comparing it to cars we've driven recently, I feel like this is the car that I found the easiest to drive, and I found the most comfort and fun in. Not in the usual sense of like driving fun and like flooring it around corners and all that kind of thing, but just, it puts a smile on my face. I can't even tell you why. It's a big chunky car, the seats are comfortable, I've got a ginormous steering wheel in front of me, I'm very upright, I've got great visibility, I'm kind of king of the road up here, queen of the road I should say. I think it's a personal tasting I suppose, but this car is just very me, and of course for other people as well, because the Discovery throughout its different model ranges, it's been a hugely popular car, and I'm really pleased that I've had the chance to drive one today. So a big car like this, I don't think you'd really get it in a manual these days, and I'm just thinking, would I prefer it in an automatic? Probably not. You know, I'm actually really enjoying this being a manual because it gives you that more, and I know I keep using the word utilitarian, you're probably sick of hearing me say it, but it's the best word to describe what I'm trying to say. It makes it feel more like a machine that you are in control of and that you need to work to make yourself move, you know? It's not just like a milk float that you get in and you just press one button and you're off. We're talking about a car here that needs a bit of love and needs some care taken to get you from A to B, and I'm really enjoying the fact that it's manual. I've missed a side step. We need more cars with these for no reason to stand and lunge as you look at things. Beautiful area we're in, lovely hills around. So this car is, I think, a very good looking car. We're going to do a bit of a walk around now of the car, look at some of the features from the outside, from the inside, and of course the famous boot check will be coming very soon. So starting at the front, it's time to put some gloves on because it's freezing outside. And speaking of grey, the colour of this car is called Stornoway Grey, which actually is the same as the Range Rover we had. So yeah, the same colour, but I think these letterings must be different because it definitely blends in better than ours did, doesn't it? Nice big chunky Land Rover badge along the front that hasn't rusted. I have to say, there's no rust on here right now. It's very cool looking, it's very boxy, it's square. It's kind of like a, what you see is what you get. There's no sort of like frumpy bits or curvy bits. It's all very much like, here I am a car.
What?
I've lost the plot. Very chunky tyres, aren't they? And really small wheels. The wheels here are actually only 17 inches, but you can see we've got these ginormous chunky tyres, and obviously this is an off-roading machine. I'm going to tell you a little story about it in a minute. I think they're quite nice looking wheels. They're very unoffensive, I think. They look good with the car. They're nothing crazy, nothing flashy. And I think that's what I like about this car. It's very much, I think it's quite a humble car. It's very much a tool for a job. It's not trying to be flashy, but it's very practical. And I think it's very cool in being that because it's very, it's not trying to be anyone else. I think I need to stop talking about cars like they're people, but here we are. We've got a big thick plastic wheel arch along here, and then again, like the wing mirrors, it's all very plasticky. Handles have got plastic on them. There's plastic everywhere, but it's not like a tacky plastic. It's more like a practical plastic. For me, the way to distinguish a Discovery or a Range Rover, like if you didn't know them very well, is just this line down here. I think this really defines it as being a Discovery, and it gives it more of a farm feel to it, and more like you're throwing things in the back that you need and you're using it for more practical reasons, as opposed to it being like a smooth shape that sort of continues into the boot. It's very much separate. I love that we've got a massive window in the boot as well for no reason, and it literally is as square as you can get. So when you're reversing this car, you can see exactly behind you. There's no like worry about, or what if the car goes a bit further out. Like this is it. This is as straight as you can get in terms of boot. And we also got the tow bar at the back here. So the main reason my grandparents use this is to tow their caravan when they go away in it. They literally go all around the country in it. They've used this for miles and miles, towing a big old caravan. My grandpa is very proud that every time someone is stuck, he is the one to get them out. They have other friends that they go on their caravan trips with. There's been loads of people stuck in the mud, literally. Isn't that a game you play at school, stuck in the mud? There's been countless times where he's rescued his friends whose cars are stuck in the mud. Even like other 4x4s and other brands that should be like good towing cars and good off-roading cars. It's always him that comes to the rescue, and it's almost like, oh, if anyone can do it, it's him. So much so that people have trampled across muddy fields just to ask for his help in being rescued. So this is definitely a tool for a job. It does a very good job, but now it's time to check out the boot. We've got a split tailgate and an enormous boot. It's actually a 7-seater, so there's a rubber mat in here just now, so you can't quite see it, but Here we are. I do love this. I absolutely miss this, having no Range Rover right now. This is something I really miss. To sit on here, get your walking boots on before heading off on a nice countryside walk, to change your baby's nappy on, as we did many a time in our Range Rover. But you've got the second 2 seats just here that you can see. So I think it's amazing. Like this, I know it's a big car, but the fact that you've got 7 seats and it's not like a bus, it's actually a good looking car for 7 seats. I know people say that if you have more kids than if you have more than 3 kids, you have to get an ugly minibus, but you don't. You can get something like this, and I think it's still very cool. Ah, boot check, sorry. I am gonna get in it, I did promise. I mean, there's not much point in getting in this boot because it's massive and you can see that I'm gonna fit in it, but I will do it anyway because I have made a promise. There we are. Plenty of room, very cosy, very warm. You could have a little picnic in there or something on a summer's day, that'd be nice. Oh, right. We've also got some handles on the front seat so we can fling ourselves into the back. Even if we're in the higher suspension mode, we've got loads of room back here. What is that? A samurai sword in the back of this car? What is Oh, is it an umbrella? It's an umbrella, thank God. Oh, thank God. My grandpa's not a ninja. Whew. I was worried then. That really looks like a samurai sword. Oh my goodness me. That's hilarious. Right, loads of room in the back here. I'm 6 foot, no I'm not. I'm 5 foot 8.5. Plenty of space with my driving position. With George's position, still pretty good space-wise, very comfortable. Not too many bells and whistles back here, but you don't need it. And I do also like that you've got a proper middle seat. It's not like in our BMW where it's like a half seat. This is like a proper seat, so you could happily fit 5 people in here, or 7 people in here, without being too squeezed in, which is always good. Got rubber mats on the floor for your muddy shoes. Oh, by the way, I know these socks don't go with my outfit, but it's really cold, so I'm wearing like Christmassy fluffy slipper socks to film this review. And annoyingly, there's a split up my jeans, so it kind of shows them, so ignore that. Anyway, also, good sized water bottle holders in the back, because the amount of times you only get this is actually caring about your back passengers, not just leaving them to be the second thought, like most cars. We're caring about our rear passengers in this car very much. So in the driver's seat, I've got a lot of space in here. Actually, the gloves can come off now, I think. That's enough of that. Plenty of space, actually. I like that we've got a bookshelf included in this car for my gloves. There we are. Lovely. So there's so many compartments. It's actually making me laugh slightly because, I mean, they've all been used. They've definitely made the most of this. We've got chewing gum holders, we've got tissue holders, we've got a poppy. They've really made the most of it all, but I just think if it was my car, I wouldn't know what to put in these things. It's genius how many compartments there are. I love it. Yeah, so we've got loads of space here. I'm very far away from George, which I like. No buttons on the steering wheel. How unusual. I like it. This is good. I like that there's no buttons. I mean, I'm not sure about the horns here. That's unusual, but I mean you're definitely going to know when you're pressing it. Sometimes if it's one of these, you're sort of fiddling around trying to find it. I'm really surprised that there's no buttons on the steering wheel. It makes it feel even more fit for purpose and like it's here to do its job and that's it. It's not going to give you any extra, and I mean that in a really good way. I like that kind of things. I know that I use the word tractory a lot when I had the Range Rover, and people seem to like or dislike that word in the comments. We got 50-50 results there, but I really like this kind of thing. Nice big steering wheel, fairly comfy to hold, fair few switches and buttons everywhere, I have to say, but it all kind of makes sense. I quite like that this is straight down. It almost reminds me of like a bus or something. Like you can imagine a bus having something that's like flat down like this. It's not all curved with buttons all over the place. It's like, this is your panel, this is your display of buttons that you're gonna need, and this is it. Like it does what it says on the tin. We have got the air suspension as well, so just from going up and down here, you can see it goes up and down in height. And we go back down there, that's to the middle, and it's actually way quicker and more responsive than the Range Rover ever was. You just do it and it does it. I feel like with us, we were saying, has it gone down yet? Has it gone up yet? And we were never that sure, but this is very much working perfectly. Got some different driving modes as well down here on this little dial. So we've got one for snow, we've got one if we go and look at some cactuses. We're safe and they're not going to get us in the car. Like that keeps us safe from cactuses, I think. From cacti, sorry. They're just huge chunky knobs. What I mean by that is just everything's big and chunky. I reviewed the Abarth recently and my shoes were too big to drive in it. I don't think I'd have that problem in here. You can wear your big snow gloves, you can wear a big puffy coat. You don't need to make yourself any smaller to do the things you want to do in the car. You can just sort of sit in it, drive it, take it wherever you want to go. There's no restrictions, there's no limitations in this car, because really anything you see, you're going to pretty much be able to drive over it because it is an absolute machine. It's got the light coloured roof lining, which I quite like. It brightens it up in here, and actually the cloth seats as well, which I Do I like it? I mean, for me personally, if I had a car like this, I would prefer to have leather seats just because you can like wipe them clean with mud and things. But equally, because we haven't got heated seats, I definitely want the cloth because it's just too cold to have leather seats and no heated seats. And this has only actually done 100,000 miles, which is pretty good going. My grandpa has achieved an MPG of 28.9, which pretty good. Is that good? Someone said to me the other day, Lucy, you do realise, I think having had the Range Rover V8 and it being so unreliable, that slightly warped my perception of what's normal. And I think because I'm used to cars braking on me now, maybe I've got like a slightly odd opinion on most things. Like for example, seeing 28.9 mpg, maybe that isn't good. Maybe that's not good, but for me, I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good because I was used to whatever we got in. What did we get in ours?
21.
It was like, yeah, 21. Let me just Google what this is advertised to have because I'll be interested in that. Okay, so it's saying combined between 19 and 30, and then city 14 to 25, highway 24 to 34. So actually we're bang on here for the driving that they do. I do like the dials as well. They're very simple. They're not too fancy. We've got like a nice, it sounds so silly, but I like the countryside-y feel of this car, and the fact that it's like a green light behind this dial right here, I think this looks lovely. It goes nicely with the green Land Rover badge with the gold on it. It's very much my kind of thing, this car. And something else that I do really like is that they've given you measurements of your car so that you know if you're going to fit underneath something. For example, coming into this car park here, we weren't sure if we were going to fit underneath the barrier, but we can just have a little look up here and it tells you in different modes what your height actually is, which is so handy. Like whoever came up with that, it's very smart. But anyway, to summarise, who is this car for? I think we've got quite a big range of people that this would appeal to. It's great obviously for people that need to tow a caravan, being number one because of how great it is at that. I mean, they're not the most reliable things in the world, as we know. I think it's great for families. Being the 7 seats is amazing as well. It's great for families or people that, I don't know, give lots of lifts to people. I know these are very random specific points, but I'm sure it's talking to someone watching this video, maybe considering getting one, but also just for people who like being high up on the road, being in comfort, someone who doesn't need all the like fancy techie bells and whistles and that just wants a car that feels like a real pleasure to drive, in my opinion. Probably great for like dog owners, people who live in the countryside or often go to the countryside for walks. The amount of times recently we've been off on a walk somewhere in the BMW and we've thought, oh, we really could do with a 4x4 right now, something a bit higher up, something that can get muddy and a bit more thrown about down country lanes, and we can't really scratch our 3 Series up against twigs on a country lane to let someone go coming towards us. So definitely a rugged machine, but you still do get like a hint of luxury. We're not quite into like the old Defender range yet where it's much more rugged. It's that in between where we've got the Range Rover that's more luxurious, we've got the Defender that's more rugged, and then this is somewhere in the middle that kind of ticks a couple of the boxes, unticks a couple of the boxes, and it's just somewhere nice in the middle that I think that would appeal to a lot of people. Obviously we've got to factor in that they're not that reliable, they're quite expensive when they break down, the repairs cost a lot, the parts cost a lot, and there are a lot of known problems and faults with them. But the fact that you can pick one up at the price that you can, it's just one of them things, isn't it, where it's like, well, if you don't want that kind of car and you want something that's more reliable, get something more reliable then, but you're not going to have a car that feels like this. The Discovery 3, it does the job, and I don't mean that in a it does the bare minimum. Well, actually I do kind of mean it does the bare minimum, but I don't mean it in a negative way. It's actually a really positive thing. I've driven a lot of cars recently where it feels like they're trying to do everything and they're trying to tick every box, but this is very much a tool for the job. It's simple in a sense, in that it's not adding too many extra things. It's just a proper 4x4. It will get you out of the mud. You can drive over most things without too much worry, but you're still very comfortable while driving it around, and it's got a little hint of luxury there in that respect as well. So overall, I'm very pleased with this drive today. I've very much enjoyed taking you guys along with me, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. Me personally, I can totally see what the fuss is about with these. It puts a smile on my face, as the Range Rover did. Yeah, I'd be interested to see if any of you have had the same experience in the comments, or the opposite experience. Maybe you hate them. Let me know why in the comments. Let's get a little chat going. I do love the comments on this channel. They are hilarious. We've always got some funny comments coming in. Every video I post, I can guarantee several random bizarre comments, but I do love it. And I always, as I said in previous videos, if you've got a car that you'd be interested in me coming and filming a review on, then please send me an email at hello@lucyoncars.com. It'll be on the screen right now and in the description down below underneath this video. I've had a lot of offers of people all over the country, which is so kind, but we've got a little boy at home, so we can't be like traveling around the country to film these videos yet. I mean, maybe in the future, we wouldn't say no, but right now. If anyone's a bit more local to us, so we're down in Worthing on the south coast, if anyone's sort of fairly local-ish, we don't mind driving a little way, with a car that you think I might like to drive, then please do send me an email. And like I said, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it today. And I think that's going to end it. That's all I've got to say today. And really, I guess the question is, could I own one of these? Is this a car that you'd like to see as a more permanent member on the channel? Is that something you'd be interested in? Would you like more videos on this? I mean, I suppose I could borrow this car again and film some more videos, but I'm more thinking if we were to buy one ourselves, I'd also love to drive a Discovery 4 to compare that and see how that differs. And to be honest with you, drive the rest of the Land Rover family, because I still haven't driven a Defender, and I know there's a lot of different models of them to get behind the wheel of because they're all so different. I'd really love to drive like a brand new one as well, compare it to like the old one, because I think they're going to be worlds apart. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video today, because that helps me to decide what to film next. And I know we're joking saying that we're just borrowing every family member's cars. We're pretty much done now, I think. I don't know what else we've got. We're going to be scraping the pot a little bit at this point. No offence to George's mum's 1.4 Polo. Actually, there's a couple of BMWs that I'd like to show you. I can't see anything. I think they're clear. Oh, this is such bizarre weather. It's really sunny and really dark over there at the same time. Yeah, so let me know, and I'll see you very soon. I feel like I've ended this video for about 10 minutes. I'll see you very soon in the next Lucy on Cars. Goodbye.